So, continuing to talk about the emerging idea of America, this process of self-definition that we're seeing here in Letters from an American Farmer. So, when we talk about America, what we have to talk about is immigration, right? And that's what Crevecoeur is talking about. So, this is on that same section that we're looking at when we left off. The next wish of this traveler will be to know whence came all these people. They are a mixture of English, Scotch, Irish, French, Dutch, German, and Swedes. From this promiscuous breed, that race, now called Americans, have arisen. So what does it mean to be an American? It means to be an immigrant. Now, what does the author say about this immigrant nation? So continuing on just a little bit further under 54. He is either an European or the descendant of an European. Hence, that strange mixture of blood you will find in no other country. I could point out to you a family whose grandfather was an Englishman, whose wife was Dutch, whose son married a French woman, and whose present 4 sons now have 4 wives of different nations. How cool is this, guys? He is an American who, leaving behind him all his ancient prejudices and manners, receives new ones from the new mode of life he has embraced, the new government he obeys, and the new rank he holds. He becomes an American by being received in the broad lap of our great alma mater, our mother. So what does it mean to be an American? You come from one country, right? Boom. You come to America, and what do? You marry somebody from another country, and what do your children do? They marry people from all these other countries. So what happens? Here individuals of all nations are melted into a new race of men whose labors and posterity will one day cause great changes in the world. Boom! Did you catch that? You said to yourself, I wonder where the term the melting pot of America came from. Where did it come from? Crevecoeur. Oh, how awesome is that? Americans are the Western pilgrims who carry along with them that great mass of arts, sciences, vigor, and industry which began long since in the East. They will finish the great circle. The Americans were once scattered all over Europe. Here they are incorporated into one of the finest systems of population which has ever appeared. So what does it mean when you come to America? You have to, in essence, leave behind those ways of before, and then you come and then you mix together this wonderful stew pot that we have in America. Now, earlier in Letters from an American Farmer, Crevecoeur touched upon that idea of religion, and let's see what he says about it again. A little bit further, we're still in this section, what is an American? Right about the number 63, what is an American? Let us suppose you and I to be traveling. We observe that in this house, to the right, lives a Catholic, who prays to God as he has been taught and believes in transubstantiation. He works and raises wheat. He has a large family of children, all hale and robust. His belief, his prayers offend nobody. About 1 mile further down the road, his next neighbor may be a good, honest, plodding German Lutheran, who addresses himself to the same God, the God of all, agreeably to the modes he has been educated in, and believes in consubstantiation. Different religious beliefs, right? If you're familiar with the Protestant Reformation, right? Martin Luther broke off from the church, which at that time was just called church, then later was called the Catholic Church, right? So what do we see in America? We see people of different faiths, Catholics and Lutherans, they're next door neighbors, right? And guess what? They get along. What do we see in America? Religious tolerance and religious freedom. Something that's really important that really didn't happen in Europe. And Europe at this time, by the way, countries were largely either Protestant or Catholic. If the king was Catholic, then pretty much the whole country Catholic. If the king is not only Protestant, but if the king, say for example, is Anglican, like the case in England, then the whole country is going to be Anglican. And if you didn't like it, you could leave, and guess where you could come? America. So let's turn next to the Declaration of Independence. This Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson and edited by Benjamin Franklin. So if you see the parts in the text that are underlined, that reflects those edits done by Franklin. Of course, for Americans, we're familiar with the title, the Declaration of Independence, but not too many people have really sat down and read through the Declaration, which is important to do as Americans. But we hear these words, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with inherent and inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, where did those ideas, where did this line come from with a little bit of change by Thomas Jefferson? Do you remember from the period overview? John Locke, exactly right. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, so in other words, those earlier tenets, principles that were outlined by Jefferson, right? England has become destructive to those ideas. It is the right, it is what? The right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So why is this document being written? England has stomped upon those things, those truths that were self-evident that Locke saw and wrote on, and Jefferson is parroting here. So then Jefferson goes through and starts to, list out. It's almost like an argument, in essence, what the Declaration is. He has refused his assent to the laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws. He has refused to pass other laws, right? So you start to go through and you start to see all the things that the King of England has done bad that Jefferson and the other colonists have argument with. All these different ideas. So now, flipping through, we therefore, the representatives of the United States of America and General Congress assembled, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these states reject and renounce all allegiance and subjection to the kings of Great Britain and all others who may hereafter claim by, through or under them. We utterly dissolve all political connection which may heretofore have subsisted between us and the people or Parliament of Great Britain. What has happened? They have cut the ties. Now, when writing this, right, and everybody who signed the Declaration of Independence, by signing this document, do you know what they were signing? They were signing their death warrant, because this is treason. And what is the penalty for treason? Death. So what do we see here? The emerging idea of America. What's something that Americans desire most of all? Freedom and self-governance. Now we're hit the 10-minute mark. So then, after we have the Declaration, of course, that leads to war. So then we enter into the American crisis with Thomas Paine.